Apparently, like, Russia is invading Ukraine or some kind of shit. Like, I'm not entirely 100% on this. I pull up some stuff I'm going to talk about a little bit. Okay, I know that a lot of you guys probably want to hear, like, my take on this and, like, all my opinions on this. People have fucking tweeted it at me. There's a lot of people probably just want to watch me play Elden Ring today. And don't worry, guys, we're going to do that for most of the day. But I will talk about this for just a little bit because, obviously, people do want to, probably want to talk about it because it's a big deal, right? And so, yeah. Basically, I've said this before, is that, I would not look to video game streamers. I would not look to people who play video games or play professional sports for a living. I would not look to them for geopolitical advice or direction. That's not really what I would do. I would wait to see what's going to happen. Also, another big factor with this is that anything that I ever read, like I have some videos I'm going to look at here and take a, take a little bit of a, look at and show you guys. But other than that, it's really hard to have an idea of what's really happening because you're hearing it through so many sources that could be biased or could be misrepresenting things. It's happened so many times. It's very hard to understand. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit about this, but I want to say one thing because this is something that I've seen this happen before. This is not the first time that a situation like this has occurred. Back in 2001 was September 11th. And after that happened, basically, and even now, right, is you have a lot of people who are from the Middle East. They're not maybe politically aligned with the Middle East. They might not even really live in the Middle East anymore. But people blame any individual person for what, some terrorists did that live in the Middle East. And this is what happens. And I hope this does not happen again with Russians here. And I want to make sure that this is very clear. While I'm sure that there are a lot of Russians that do support Putin, these are people who are okay with the idea of the war. They say, fuck Ukraine, we hate Ukraine, let's bomb them. I'm sure there's plenty of Russians that are like that. However, please, guys, please do not go out and take your frustrations out on the Russian government, on some random fucking guy that lives in Russia. Please do not do that. Like, I've seen comments like that. I've seen negative shit like that towards, like, these different random-ass people. The fact is that it's the same as in the U.S. Do you think that I wanted them to bomb random fucking places in Syria and other kinds of countries? No, I didn't want that. So whenever somebody from there would get pissed off at me, I would be like, well, what the fuck? I didn't do anything. It's the same thing now that we have with people that get angry at Chinese people, right? Like the increase in Asian violence last year because of coronavirus, and people thought that, oh, this person looks Asian, they must be from China, they must be spreading COVID. This is the same thing that's happened many times, and I'm seeing this happen again with the Russia thing, and I'm going to try to make a comment on this before I hear anybody else really say this, is that please, guys, just because somebody is from Russia does not mean that they are guilty or they are implicated or that they are involved or that they even agree with what's going on with the Russian government and what they're doing. So please, guys, like, if there's somebody from Russia or whatever, they probably, listen, here's the fact, is that every single one of those bombs that Russia sends over, that's that person's tax money in Russia being pew, pew, woo, wow, woo, woo. And, like, you know what? Russia is not a terrible place, right? It's not. But it's not the greatest place in the world either. Like, there's plenty of things that they could do with that money that doesn't have to do with building a fucking bomb. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure it's a nice place in many areas. So whenever you take these people's tax money and you spend it on fucking bombs, I think it makes sense that they're going to get pissed off probably even more than you are, because they're the ones whose money is being ruined. Money's being destroyed. Why do they even want to bomb Ukraine? What do they do to Russia? I feel like that's the question. Like, it's like, it's why did this happen? Like, maybe I don't really know. I'm not a geopolitical expert, all right? Like, I don't understand. It seems to me like this came completely out of left field. It seems to me like everything, because this is the reality, right? And this is what I even said. And it turns out that it seems like I wasn't right. Is that many times, like whenever the first Ukraine stuff came out and everything like that, the first thing I was thinking is like, oh, this is probably just more bullshit that the media is blowing up to make people scared and upset to watch the media more so they make more money. But apparently that's not really what happens. And apparently it's actually happening. Now, obviously, we're talking a little bit, a lot of people are bringing up Zeppela and everything like that and all that kind of understanding. Listen, I think that as far as I know, she's out of the country at this point, and she is, as far as I know, safe. That's what I've heard from other people, and that's what I've been told. Now, is that really true? I'm not sure, but I'm sure that she's going to be okay. I really am. I'm sure she's going to be okay. Obviously, it's a really tough time for her. I can't even imagine it. And this is something to keep in mind as an American. If you're a guy that grew up in America and you've never really had this kind of stuff, this is like you're just watching this. We've never really had a war. I mean, unless you're 150 years old and you were alive to the Civil War, we haven't really ever had a war fought here. We don't know what it's like to have, to not know if your house is going to get blown up or not. We've never had an experience where, I don't know if I can go to school today. I hope that, I still have autonomy over my own life in 6 months from now. So it's really important to keep that in mind, because it's like you can try to empathize with a person who feels that way. And like to a certain extent you can understand, because there's always going to be similar experiences for everybody in all kinds of different places. However, I cannot imagine how bad it is that like you have your life and like your life is just immediately completely out of your control by these massive powers that seemingly don't give a fuck about you. Yeah, listen, like we are all gamers. I feel like all of us here have differences in political opinion. We really do. But I think one thing that almost everybody can agree on is that we don't want a war. We might disagree on voting rights. We might disagree on like different types of like social issues like abortion, like prayers in schools, like things like that. But all of these things are really just little specks of sand compared to an actual war. Like an actual war, especially these days with nuclear weapons and these massive tools that people have now, it will ruin the planet. Like an all-out war will probably do more to damage the climate of the country or the whole world, and do more towards climate change than anything else that we could ever possibly do. I'm from Russia. We don't want the war. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't want the war, because like a lot of people just don't want to. Most people, this is generally my opinion. Most people, now if you're poor and you don't have a lot of fucking money, this is a little bit different. But most people who are middle class or even like upper lower class, the only thing that they want is for the government to be invisible. They don't want to have the government interfering in their life. They don't want to have the government telling them what to do. They don't want to have the government interfering with like their day-to-day activities. They don't want to have anything get in the way of what they're doing. Because what I assume a lot of guys in Russia do is they wake up in the morning, they drive to work, they go to work, they hang out with their friends, they go home, and they watch TV or they play video games, and they just fucking chill. Most of those guys and women don't want to rock the boat. This is fine. I don't want, some bullshit. Like, there's a lot of people, and that's really what I'm saying, right? You forgot to drink vodka? Yeah, and not play video games. Play CSGO, right? Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. But, like, what I'm really trying to get at here is that a lot of people, unless, I think that the only countries that really want war are countries like Germany back in the day, right? And countries that are war-torn, countries that are destroyed, or countries that are so economically disadvantaged that they feel like they have to go into a war and be led into that. And so USA, well, I think that, like, no, you can't really compare the USA to something like Syria or like Germany in the 1930s. Like, I understand there's a lot of people that want to kind of like get a zinger or a fast one off on the USA, but like it's not anywhere near what it was like in the 1930s in Germany, right? That's all I'm really trying to say. So yeah, I think that's the main time that you see wars happen, and like you see populations supporting wars is whenever that becomes the case. Like getting bombed, like America's never been bombed before, really, right? This has never really happened before. So like this idea is not really in the minds of like an average American, because it's just not happening to them. Like, they have no fucking idea. So, Pearl Harbor? Yeah, that happened like almost like 100 years ago, man. Yeah, I mean, it happened like 100 years ago one day. And then we dropped nuclear bombs on civilians in their country and ended the war. Like, that happened one time. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but like it's just not comparable to a country like Syria, or like a country like Germany that's had war in their country that was ongoing for years. It's just simply not the same thing. Like, 9/11 was a terrorist attack. Like, this was not a targeted attack on the country by another country. It's totally fucking different. Yeah, it is totally fucking different. Yeah, I just, comparing 9/11 with an invasion, haha, so delusional. Yeah, it's just, I feel like people, and this is the problem with like having conversations like this on stream, right? And I'm not going to go, as I said, I want to talk about this for a little bit, and then I want to move on. I don't want to go over this anymore. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I just really want to enjoy Elden Ring. And the truth is, I want to distract you guys. I think there's a lot of y'all that are from Ukraine. You're like, man, fuck. Like, why is this shit happening? Why is this shit happening? Can I just please take my mind off this? And you know what? I'm sure there's plenty of you guys from fucking Russia that are like, oh my god, this is gonna another fucking stupid goddamn fucking government starting another goddamn, like there's some more bullshit, right? And you guys don't want to hear about this. You guys don't want to deal with it. I get it. I understand. I want to talk about it because I want to talk about it. But besides, after that, we move on. After that, we start talking about other stuff, and we get back to being a good distraction. And that's the way I see it, man. Ukraine's literally getting bombed? No, bro. Like, look at this video. Look at this video. Check this shit out. Watch this. Don't show it? No, it's fine. Look at that. You see that? That's the kind of shit that's happening to them. It's not TOS? Yeah, I know. That's terrifying, isn't it? Look at that. Because I literally thought the exact same thing that a lot of you guys did. I thought to myself, I don't want to listen to the screams of like a little kid, right? It's like, I don't want to listen to that. And, there's no reason to do that. This is not a joke. This isn't like, again, this isn't CNN, misrepresenting the ethnicity of a certain person in some police conflict. This is not one of those situations. This is real. It's actually happening. It's right there. You can see it. Yep, right there. What do you think of the lack of support for Ukraine in the form of sending the army there? I don't want to send the army to Ukraine right now. No, fuck no, I don't want to do that. That's not the first thing that you do. Fuck no, I don't want to do that immediately. Are you crazy? No shot.